After, just take it up to the departure end of the runway, then a left turn and a left downwind. Cessna over the threshold, coming up on the white dot, at or beyond the white dot, left turn first available. I got a high wind coming up on about a half-mile final, clear to land at or beyond. Traffic on the left face, you're following a Cessna down, low off your left. Square it up just a little bit, and then we're going to get you in. Start your descent, though. Start your descent on the base. Traffic on final, give me follow on base. Base traffic, start turning toward the numbers now. High wing coming up on quarter-mile final, take it all the way down to the green. Cessna taxiing on the green, expedite down to the next hard surface. Get me some speed, there you go, go fast. This is going to be good. I got traffic on a mile final, you're following traffic ahead and to your right. High wing coming up on the threshold, take it all the way down to the green dot.
5 Charlie Sierra, 2 mile final.
A mile final, turn north, and we're going to just make you, we're going to bring you back around. Jet traffic's coming up on about a mile and a half final, runway 9er clear to land.
Okay, all right, let's listen up, guys. If you're on final for runway 9, I want you to offset to the left. I got a jet that's landing on runway 9. The jet's cleared to land runway 9 if you can make it. If not, just continue straight ahead. It looks like you're going around for the jet. That's fine.
Oh, we have one right in front of us, sir.
Dragger. Let's see, what we got, a tricycle, put it down. Tricycle, put it down. Tail dragger, down to the green dot, then a left turn. Short final here, you cleared land on 9, all the way to the white dot, go down to the white dot. Find somebody to follow out here. Canard, just come to the runway and I might have to just send you around. That'll be fine. And for the jet, you just want to stay in this pattern or you want to go back out for an instrument approach?
Stay in a pattern, Charlie Sierra.
All right, just stay with me here for a minute. And my tail dragger, let's see, over the numbers, go down to the green. And Canard's going to have to go around. Canard, go around. And my high wing here over the runway, keep it airborne. You do not descend. You got a fast guy behind you. Do not descend. There you go. Keep it airborne. As soon as the guy behind you gets slowed down, I'm going to put you down. So keep it airborne. The one that just passed the white dot, make a left turn on the hard surface. All right, my high wing tail dragger, you can put it down now. And Charlie Sierra, let me get you about a mile off. Let's see, Charlie Sierra, I lost. There you are. Make a left-hand turn. I'll try to resequence you here on the downwinds. We'll see how it looks. Short final, you're clear to land runway 9 on the white dot. There you go. And the tricycle left on the hard surface and follow the flagman. Welcome. Thanks for being part of the show. And let's see, just find somebody to follow out follow on the final. And as you get close to the runway, if it's not going to work, we're going to send you around and then try to resequence you. Now, who else got sent around that's not back on the downwind? The Canard?
Yeah, Canard.
All right, Canard, there's a Gulfstream up there that went around too. I just lost sight of him, but you're going to make kind of a left-hand turn and stay low. I think Charlie Sierra, what's your altitude?
3,200.
Okay, that'll be fine. Just maintain VFR. I don't know what else is up there above you. Probably most everybody's down here, so just make a left-hand turn. We'll try to get you back here.
Canard's got the jet in sight.
Okay, the RV, maybe an RV-10, whatever, here on final. Keep your speed up and go all the way down to the, aim for the green dot for me. Actually, keep your speed up. There's a guy behind you. Aim for the green dot, and I'm sure that's plenty of room for you to land on runway 9. You're clear to land on runway 9. Number 2, you're going to go down to the white dot. Follow the white dot. Actually, you know what? That's 1,500 feet. You're going to land at the white dot. The spacing looks adequate here. 2 guys on final. You're kind of tight there. Keep each other in sight, and you're going to aim for the white dot. If it's not going to work, we'll come up with a plan B. We might have to send you around. The second guy behind you out there in about a 2-mile final. Are you slow enough to be able to follow that guy in front of you? You need to go around. Well, I probably shouldn't ask that because I had about 5 guys answer me, so I should know better than that after 35 years, you would think, right? All right, so let me see. The guy who's number 1, it's number 1. What kind of airplane is he? An RV type. All right, RV type. Keep it airborne for me. And I got a fast guy behind you. The number 2 guy over the trees there. Go ahead and put it down on the numbers. My first guy just coming up on the numbers at the over the grass at the numbers. I want you to keep
T-minus 1 minute and counting.
Hello.
Three, two, one.
Hello. Hello. Ed was a bit late there. Hello, and welcome to this Thursday night's live stream. Slightly different one. I've got some slightly dodgy internet again. It seems to follow me around wherever we go. We've got a great show lined up with you. Icons lined up for you. I can see Tim Granshaw is already sitting in the green room, as is Simon Keeling live tonight with some great weather. But the first thing we have to do is say a massive thank you to Skydemon for sponsoring the live stream. They've been a sponsor for over a year now, so it's hugely appreciated, as is their software indeed, and particularly the latest version on Mac, just stonking. So thank you very much, Skydemon. And as I navigate my way around, I'll bring you this week's tip from Skydemon.
Hi, I'm Rob from Skydemon, and here's another top tip. As you look through your NOTAM briefing, you may find yourself rereading a NOTAM that you have seen many times before, or encounter an absurd NOTAM which bears no relevance to your flight. Here's one warning us about overflying Belarus. Let's hide it by tapping the X in the top right corner. Here's another one for Ethiopia. Let's hide that too. However, you'll notice that some NOTAMs we consider to be safety critical, and so they are not hideable. Of course, if you're ever concerned that you have hidden a NOTAM accidentally, you can see the list of hidden NOTAMs here, and tap the little back arrows to send them back into your main NOTAM list. For more information, check out our website or our user manual from within the app.
That is definitely one of my favourite Skydemon top tips, only because Rob really loves using the word absurd.
Unfortunately, clearly, there are no absurd NOTAMs at all, are there, ever? I mean, who was thinking that? Right, so let me just have a quick look. Where are we? We must be weather time. Is it weather time yet? Looking at the weather order? Good job. Good. In that case, let's bring in that live Simon Keeling chat.
Alive. Evening all. I'm actually live and absurd. Can you believe it?
Let's see if we can. How can I do that? Oh, there you go. I can add that to the stream there. Oh, look at that.
Excellent. Look at that. Fantastic. Well, evening all.
I didn't realise it'd do that.
Yeah. The technology. Evening all. Good to see it. Hope that you're having a good evening and looking forward to a pleasant weekend flying. We've got some decent flying weather in there. At the moment, I think Sunday is probably going to be the pick of the days. Tomorrow's not too bad, actually. Chart for Friday showing a front that's kind of just across the western parts of Scotland, getting into the west of northwest England, bringing, I think, a few showers here during the course of tomorrow. But generally, it does look pretty decent. That line of showers may just get into central parts of northern England, through central Wales in the afternoon. But overall, looks like we've got some pretty decent bases, probably around 2,000 to 4,000 feet. Just one thing to note that models are struggling with at the moment. That front there you see moving through the channel affects the Channel Isles tomorrow. But one or two models want to bring it just a little bit further closer onto the southern coast of England. Met Office is one of those. You see here on the cloud ceiling forecast, the orange colours across the south there, just indicating bases potentially a couple of thousand feet there. But I have to say, I'm not too sure. If you're planning on flying tomorrow, southern England, just watch 214 very carefully and the taps tomorrow. Otherwise, it's not too bad a day, as I said. For Saturday, all change on Saturday. Deep area low pressure to the west of Scotland. A reminder of the time of year that we're at when we get these deep lows moving in from the Atlantic. Just notice how close together the ice bars are. So it does look like being quite a windy day. I think for much of England and Wales, we've got to be looking at winds probably from the southwest and gusting up to 35 to 45 knots, particularly across western coastal hills. A little bit less the further east and south you go. Typical direction is about 210 degrees across southern and eastern areas, but still even there, gusts of 25 to 30 knots. Weak front across the far south may bring a little bit of rain again across southern coast, but some models have it there, others don't. Very uncertain at the moment as to whether that rain actually arrives. And some heavier showers or more persistent rain affecting western Scotland, northwest England, northern and western Wales, with another area of rain coming into Ireland as well. Typical bases across western parts of the UK, northern and western Ireland, we're looking about 1,500 to 2,000 feet in the rain. Tops probably up at about 12 to 15,000 feet, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's not tops at about 20,000 feet across parts of western Scotland. But overall, Saturday just looks to be a pretty windy day. Eastern Scotland, you may just get away with it there. Base is 3,000 feet, lighter winds as well, and better visibility. And then for Sunday, well, I think this is going to be the pick of the day for most of us. A weak ridge of high pressure built in, early morning mist and fog patches, of course, again, a reminder of the time of year, but they will clear away quite quickly. And then much of England and Wales, lighter winds, southerlies probably only about 10 to 12 knots. We're looking at bases of around 3,000 to 4,000 feet tops. On the clouds, typically on Sunday, about 10 to 12,000 feet. Yeah, there may be one or two showers across northwestern parts of Scotland. And later on in the day, rain comes into Ireland. Again, this feature along southern coast of England, I'm not too sure about that one. I've just been looking at some of the latest information coming in. It's suggesting this front is further south. Could be through the Channels, maybe through northern France on Sunday. Again, one to keep an eye on. But I think for most of us, Sunday looking to be the pick of the day. So one or two uncertainties going into this weekend. Now, if you want to understand more about the weather, I've got my first evening aviation weather school course on the consecutive Tuesdays, the 1st and the 8th of November, between 6:30 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. I've got one more place left on that course. So if you want to book your place now, go to weatherschool.co.uk. It'll be super to see you there on those Tuesday evenings. Whatever you're doing, hopefully you're going to get some flying in this weekend. But whatever you do, have a fantastic weekend. And I'll catch you next week. Bye.
Thank you very much, Simon. Let me just scroll you down and remove you. Have a good one. See you next week.
Cheers, Simon. Bye-bye.
Hope your foot gets better. Hello. So before we move on, just a couple of comments that I picked up there. No, I didn't get sent to prison. No, there was a live stream extra yesterday when I happened to be doing it in a suit because I'm away doing other businessy type things. And basically, there was a whole bunch of people said, "Did I get the job? Am I going to get sent down to prison?" All that kind of stuff. And I kind of almost thought about wearing a dinner jacket tonight, but I decided not to. So there you go. So, no, I didn't get the job. Great. Right. Johnny.
So quick run through club related things. Obviously, as we told you last week, you can now join if you're not a member for £5 a month, which is a much more flexible option for some people. So you can do that if you want to. The current landing vouchers for this month are Bodmin, Felthorpe, Kitty Hawk and Rougham. And also for the next couple of days, you can still take advantage of the cheap fuel up at Slape, £1.99 a litre, including VAT. So you can head up there. There's a few instructions on the Flyer website. If you go into your member area, the My Account section, there's some information there about what you need to do. You basically go and see the team on reception. They'll give you a card to use at the pump. You go and fill up, give them the card back afterwards. And that's how you get your cheap fuel. So if you're not a member, you can join at flyer.co.uk/memberships. And we'd love to have you.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, we need you. We can't make all this work without members. So please come and be members. £5 a month. Not bad at all, I would say. Right. Let's. I think it's time to head straight to news. And Dave, I think you're kicking news off as usual with airfields.
Yep. Well, last Friday evening, just as we were all about to knock off, we had a hint of quite a big story. Compton Abbas Airfield in the south of England has been sold. It's been sold by the Hughes family, who have owned and operated it since 1988. And they've sold it to, drum roll, Guy Ritchie, who has a brewery nearby called Ritchie. And Guy is also a world-famous movie director with such hits as Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. And he lives next door to Compton Abbas on the Ashcombe estate. Now, it's all a bit of a shock at the time when we first got the news. There was some reassurance from Clive Hughes and the family that things were going to continue. But then Guy Ritchie himself issued a statement on the following day, on the Saturday, to confirm that flying is going to continue at the airfield, which is great because it's a fantastic place. The cafe will carry on. There'll be some changes to the hangars because he wants to install some of his own stuff there. And he's expressed his desire to keep the flying school going, but he's looking for someone to take that over because he's not a flying school person. So huge sight of relief all round, it seems. And in case you've never been there, Compton Abbas Airfield is all grass. It's on the northern edge of an area called Cranbourne Chase, an area of outstanding natural beauty, and it is outstanding. miles from Shaftesbury, itself a very pretty town, dating back to Saxon times. And last detail, it's also close to a place called Fovant, where you can see all these military badges and coats of arms carved into the chalk hillside. And of course, they're best viewed from the air.
Very good.
There you go. So, yeah.
That's really good news, and it's not kind of unsurprising that he's probably not into running a flying school, but it's fantastic that he's still open to the idea of someone coming along and doing that. So,
yeah.
Should I be a movie director or should I go run a flying school? Tough choice.
When we were discussing it yesterday on the Livestream Extra, we decided that it would be. We should probably get. He's very keen to cast British actor Jason Statham, who's got a certain demeanour, and we think maybe he could get Jason Statham to be the flying club manager.
If you were going to write a film about a flying club, then you'd have who would you be casting in the? Who would be the CFI?
Well, it's at the moment there's a few. His films have recently had a few kind of recurring characters, or certainly he's had similar actors in similar roles. And he's at the moment he keeps casting. He's been casting Hugh Grant as a bit of a villain. I don't know whether he could be a CFI. You know, he's got the CFI type to him, maybe.
It's a bit of a it's a bit of a villain. Maybe you never know. Okay, there must be some more airfield news.
There is some more airfield news, and Farway Common near Exeter, the relatively new owner James is having to apply for a certificate of lawful use, and he's meeting a bit of resistance from nearby residents, some local farms, but also Exeter Airport. Exeter Airport has failed miserably and continually for the past 4 years to get anywhere with its application for airspace expansion. And Farway lies underneath the instrument approach. So Exeter Airport, with its ACP, its airspace change proposal, they've been lashed by the CAA for the air incompetence in this. They seem to be lashing back, and they're taking it out on poor old Farway.
It has to be said, that's probably that doesn't sound like a good thing. We should invite Exeter Airport on the live stream, see what they've got to say.
Yeah,
let's ping them in anyway. Exeter, if you get to hear about this, come along.
We should have James on next week, so we'll be talking to him in more detail about it. So maybe the week after we'll get someone from Exeter.
Yeah,
maybe we should have James on.
Yeah, and it's key. Yeah, key for Farway. Farway are just trying to. They're just firming up what an existing operation that they've already got, isn't it? So
that's
it's
right.
not really new news. Though some of the residents nearby seem to think that it probably means a big airport, which clearly it's not.
And if you'd like to help, there's a link which I think Ed, the link master, can probably put from the document, the running sheet document, into the comments, so you can go and click on that and have your say and help Farway move in the right direction. Don't be like Exeter. Be like somebody else. There you go.
Be like a nice airfield.
Yes.
Be like a nice Hugh Grant or something.
What better news in the airfield front is Northmoor Airfield in North Lincolnshire has a new owner. The new owner is Bethan Haley, who is a young pilot working her way through ATPL training at the moment. Bethan said it's a family project. She admits she's got no experience of running an airfield, so she's turned to a few people for advice, and one of those is Dan from Sandown, who you may recall also took over an airfield with zero experience apart from having a PPL. So she's getting on with that. We actually have a story underway with Bethan, and hopefully we'll have that complete tomorrow. We can publish it on the website.
You should definitely get Bethan on as well. She can tell us what it's like running an airfield. And I think she also turned to some other airfields close by and sort of made contact with them, asked for a few tips, and they were not hugely helpful, I'm led to believe, which is why is it people are such things?
There's no excuse for negativity, is there? I mean, it's a world. Everyone's trying to do their best to get by. So surely we help each other.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You'd think so.
Yeah. Well, and just adding into the airfield news, sadly, looking at a comment that Paul Fraser-Benison's just added in the comments. Breaking news, Little Monjam airstrip planning has been turned down this evening, 7-1 against.
I spoke to somebody from Little Monjam earlier this week, and they were kind of expecting to be turned down because the council officers have recommended against it. So, but they are going to appeal, and they're going to. Apparently, the reason for being turned down, I haven't seen the planning committee report yet, but apparently there's a fairly ridiculous point that council officers have put forward. So they're going to appeal, whether they get anywhere or not. 7-1 is quite a big majority to overturn.
It is.
It is.
Yeah. Well, at least it wasn't.
Yeah. Okay. What else we got in the airfield treasure chest of airfield news?
Well, that's about it really at the moment. We did start our cake pun competition.
And something.
Have we mentioned?
Have we mentioned where?
Church Fenton.
Church Fenton.
Okay, I'll do this, Dave.
I don't know anything about Church Fenton.
I'm going to pretend to be Dave now. If you fry a pie straw, Church Fenton. A little while ago, we spoke about the airfield restaurant at Church Fenton. Wasn't entirely sure what happened. It either closed down or whatever. Anyway, an announcement has been made. There's a new airfield coming. It's a new airfield, a new restaurant coming called Ford at Church Fenton. It's fairly famous. Apparently, the guy behind it was a kind of MasterChef contestant. I'm looking at the menu here online. They got Fenton full breakfast, build your own breakfast party, pastries, avocados, porridge and stuff for lunch. You can get, not for lunch, breakfast, soup, homemade sausage rolls, burgers, peri-peri chicken burgers, fish and chips, lasagna, I think the kind of tagline is something like plain food done well or something, or just effing plain food or something. But go check it out. I think we should, once that's up and running, we should pay that a visit. We've come long overdue for a visit up north.
Yeah.
Yes, we really need to go and see. And we've got an invite to go and visit Gamston as well. So while we're up there, we could go. It's probably all, we can go to the new strip in North Links as well. We could have a right royal northern trip, couldn't we?
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Apparently, airports objecting to little airstrips isn't a new thing. David Eads said Inverness objected to our planning application when we were known as Easter International. Said pilots could confuse 640 metres of grass with their 1,800 metres of tarmac. Wow.
Yeah. In the same way that Inverness confused logic with stupidity, you mean? Yeah.
We should speed up. We should move on a bit. We don't want to get too bogged.
All right.
Sorry.
Go on then. You're next. You're still on, aren't you?
No, I finished. It's you with the LAA.
Yeah, you forgot your cake puns thing and stuff like that, though.
No, we did touch on the cake pun thing.
Did we?
Slightly.
Okay, right. Let's move on to the other story. This is a kind of sad story, really. You've probably heard about this unless you've been living under a rock. The LAA has sent a letter out to all of its members with the magazine last week. They were the victims of fraud, effectively. Somebody contacted the LAA and managed to trick them into paying just over £64,000 into two separate bank accounts belonging to the fraudsters. So far, the LA have not managed to recover very much of that. I think just a token gesture probably from the bank, which was NatWest. But they continue to work with NatWest to try and get some more money back. They launched an inquiry, and they've had all sorts of a report's been written, and I think they were pretty open about the fact that the report discovered some issues with the LAA systems. I can't remember the exact words in the letter. And that will all come out and be spoken about and presented at the LAA AGM on the 23rd of October. So LAA members, you can look forward to the LAA AGM, which I believe you can attend in person or you can attend online. I think there's going to be a Zoom code or something for members.
That is correct, and it takes place at Western this year, not at Sidewell.
No, well, I'm not going to say anything. Yeah, that's good. That's great news. That's great. Yeah, so there's a fairly heated debate about this on the Flyer forum, as you might imagine. I think it's just worth bearing in mind that a whole load of these frauds are very, very sophisticated, and the LAA and its members' money are kind of victims in this. And yeah, the report highlights some inadequacies. I think is what it actually says, something like that. And yeah, clearly a little bit of stable door there, but what can you do? More on the 23rd. So yeah, next news story then that must be.
It's me. So as Rob Hughes, our guest last week, hinted during the time he was on the live stream, the BMAA has added another new type approval entry to the 600 kg export microlight class. And that's the factory-built TL3000 Sirius 600 manufactured by Czech company TL Ultralight. TL gained the UK CAA A81 manufacturer approval in April 2022. They were the first company in Czechia to do that, and they did it in a record time of 4.5 months. BMAA said it has been working closely with the UK agents, Paul Sanders and Peter Bronfel of TL Sting, and the approval sees the UK Sirius fleet double in size from 3 amateur-built aircraft to a total of 6. And I think there's more on the way. Rob was full of commendation for the CAA for its pragmatic approach to the project and working with them to kind of streamline the approval process. So that's great news.
Cool. Good. Well done, everyone involved there. More, please. Keep it coming.
I've got a bit to add to this in that you may remember we talked about going to the CAA for a comment on our story, how not to buy an aircraft, which involved TL Sting. And the CAA came back to me today, actually, with a comment. Not saying a great deal, but they did say that the TL stream that was at the centre of that story about how not to buy an aircraft is likely to be approved very soon. Wow. So they've managed to somehow go around their own systems and say it's going to be okay after all. So,
okay, well, that's positive news.
That's positive news. I would just add a caveat. Even if the CAA say it's likely to be approved very soon, if it's not approved, it's not approved. This stuff is very binary. Approved and certified means approved and certified.
That's it.
I'm sure. So beware.
And the word soon.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, it's the CAA. It took them 3 weeks to come up with a statement that said next to nothing. So, soon in CAA terms, like probably a couple of, could be a couple of years, couldn't it? Really? If it was in ICAO terms, it'd be 10 years. Anyway, let's not be negative about the CA. Let's encourage them. Well done, CA. Get it done.
Yeah.
Right. Who's talking about EasyJet?
Johnny.
That's me. Yeah. So Aerobatics are partnering with EasyJet again to host their Aurora Light, which gives you an opportunity to see the Northern Lights, probably where it's best to see them, which is well above the weather. This will be their first flight since the pandemic, and they've flown in the past hundreds of passengers to go and do this. And they've been doing it for, I think, 8 years now. The flight is from Gatwick on the 18th of February. You get a 2-course meal at the Sofitel, pre-departure presentation from some special guests, including Pete Lawrence, who hosts the Sky at Night, and some experts from the British Antarctic Survey. And then you get entertainment and refreshments on board the airplane as well. You just go to aerobatics.com/Aurora, and it's 350 quid per person, which, I'll be honest, I'm kind of tempted by.
There you go, Johnny. You could, if you could sign up, you'd help Aerobatics, and you might see Johnny as well. I'm not sure if that makes the ticket more expensive or cheaper, but either way. Right, moving on then. What have we got now? We've got British Aerobatic champions.
Yes, we have 2 new British Aerobatic champions. The championship event was held last weekend at Slape. The 2 champions are Tom Cassells in the unlimited class and David Thompson in the advanced class. And interestingly, both were flying Tom's new Extra NG. This is the carbon fibre Extra. It's Tom's 4th British Championship, and he actually helped instruct David Thompson to get him up to the level he's at. So, that's the story.
Excellent. Jolly good. Jolly good. Ed?
Yes. story that we only just become aware of happened back on the 15th of September, and that's the sad passing of test pilot and civilian astronaut Brian Binney. He was 69 years old. Brian was famous for the fact that obviously he had flown with the United States Navy, but probably most famously, he did a bunch of work with Scaled Composites, who he joined in 2000 and tested aeroplanes like the Adam 500, Toyota's General Aviation aircraft, Burt Rutan's Boomerang, the Proteus launch vehicle, and most famously kind of made the first powered flight of the Spaceship One on 17th of December 2003, which was the 100th anniversary of the Wright brothers' first flight. And then he'd go on, and on the 4th of October 2004, he made aviation history when he flew Spaceship One to 367,442 feet. An X-15 record, earned him his FAA commercial astronaut wings, and won Scaled Composites the Ansari X Prize of £10 million. I believe that was 28 years ago. Sorry, 18 years ago even.
Is he the guy who took the M&Ms or something?
No, that was Mike Melville. Mike had the M&Ms in a bag and famously opened them in 0G. But
okay, just one quick last thing from me, which is to say that if you or anyone you know is thinking of going commercial pilot, then get yourselves over to Dublin on the 22nd of October or London on the 5th of November. Come and see one of our shows, Pilot Careers Live. You'll find lots of great information, so just look up the website there, pilotcareerslive.com. So I think we're done with the news and we can get to the bit that everyone's waiting for. Is that right?
Yeah.
Let's bring on Tim. Let's make him a big.
Make a big Tim.
There you go.
Yes.
Big Tim.
There we go. Right, Tim, thank you very much for joining us. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very good, thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Good. Yeah, thanks for joining us. So, first question. Well, hang on, no, that's my camera. Don't worry, I am still here. First question is how do you introduce yourself? What's your job title?
So my official job title is I'm the chief flying instructor for the Spitfire Academy at Spitfires.com.
Brilliant. And tell us a bit about Spitfires.com, who they are, how they came to be, and ultimately, because people can get involved and come and experience it. So what's the deal there?
Absolutely. So the company's been running about 12 years. So originally started off based out of Oxford, and moved down to Goodwood around kind of 9 years ago when I became involved. So originally the CA wouldn't allow us to take fare paying passengers up, so you had to have a pilot's license or any pilot's license in order to fly in the back of a Spitfire. So the company worked with the CAA for a couple of years to kind of demonstrate a way of making it so you didn't need a license, basically. So the argument was if you could present or prove, so you can do a lot of adventure sports like skydiving, bungee jumping, providing you know the risks involved, you're able to do that. So they kind of worked with the CAA, and we were the first organisation in the world to get SSMC approval in the UK to allow us to start flying passengers, which is what we've kind of been doing ever since.
Bro, that sounds like one of Ian's favourite things, which is pragmatism from the CAA.
Absolutely.
Well done, CAA. Well done.
Yeah. So tell us a bit about what your job involves. Obviously, you fly the Spitfires, but there must be that must be maybe 10% of, I don't know, I'm just guessing, 10% of your actual job. What else do you do?
I'm actually really fortunate. So at the moment, I kind of fly the Spitfire 4 times a day, pretty much 5 days a week at the moment. So it's kind of the mainstay is that. As soon as we come to winter, kind of move a bit more to office space. But yeah, I'm very, very lucky at the moment.
Brilliant.
And Tim, how old are you? Because you look about 12. Isn't that a bit young?
I'm 37.
So
does your mum know you're out doing this?
Just about occasionally.
Talk us through how you actually got into the position that you're in? Because you started off, I think you worked behind the ops desk at Goodwood, I think, to start with.
Yeah, so I was fortunate enough. I learned to fly when I was 18 at Goodwood, and then subsequently I managed to get a job there, and was kind of trying to work away into aviation without really knowing how to do it. And I'd famously got my timing pretty wrong with September the 11th happening and certain kind of sponsorships falling through. So I ended up in the ops desk and also in the tower, learning to be a FISO and then running the tower for a little bit in thinking about pursuing a career in air traffic. And then, the organisation, so it was Boltby Flight Academy back then, they rocked up to the airfield and brought their shiny aeroplanes and, of course, a wealth of experience and knowledgeable people. And it was just an incredible kind of organisation to see there. So I did what I'm sure most people would, which was spend every waking hour annoying them, basically. So I'd just be down there asking questions, trying to kind of get involved in cleaning the aeroplanes, sweeping hangar floors, and I eventually I think bugged them enough that I got asked whether I wanted to go and join the team in an office-based role, and immediately moved over and started working for the company from there. So they were good enough to help me through becoming a flying instructor, so I got to start enjoying the delights of the backseat of a Chipmunk, which is an absolutely awesome aeroplane, and kind of working my way up through there, basically. So it's taken a few years to get to where I am now, but the journey's been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. So tell us about passengers. I mean, how many are you flying in a week? What's the typical Spitfire passenger? Is there a particular type of person?
We usually operate around 6 to 7 flights a day and 7 days a week at the moment. As far as the typical passenger goes, it's amazing how varied the backgrounds are of people. So you get people, so high net worth individuals, of course, who want to come and experience it. But you often get people who have just, Spitfires have just been something they've been passionate about for years and have saved over years in order to kind of achieve this goal of theirs. So from our point of view, from getting to fly with those types of people, it's just absolutely magical, because you're not just flying this awesome aeroplane, you're getting to really deliver someone's kind of special day, which makes it even more of an experience for me as well.
Yeah, and can people get hands-on? Are they dual controlled?
Yeah, it's all dual controlled. So there's only a couple of things they don't have in the rear seat that we have in front, so the ability to start it. But pretty much everything else they've got, we always include some hands-on time. We give them a little bit of a brief beforehand because it's an incredibly sensitive machine. So typically, it's very easy to over-control. So we have a little chat about that on the ground. But yeah, we're very much here to try and tailor the experience to make it as good for each individual, because everybody flying's got a different thing they want to kind of get out of it, and we try our best to make sure we achieve that.
Yeah, and presumably they can, if they wanted to, they could log it as dual time, could they? If you want.
So the regulations are a little bit weird because the Spitfire exists on a permit to fly. It comes under slightly different regs, so it can't actually be logged technically in those kind of things. But we're usually more than happy if people want to have it as kind of an unofficial thing in their logbook to sign it up and go from there.
Yeah, and what kind of cost are you talking? Because I think Spitfires.com do a package where they kind of get you up to solo standard. I think that's the terminology we used, isn't it?
Yeah, solo standard. So one of the issues that we have these days, of course, with the climate and fire as insurance goes, is trying to insure someone to go solo on the Spitfire. So we train people to solo standard, i.e. When one of the instructors is in the back and effectively doesn't need to say anything, doesn't need to do anything. So for all intents and purposes, you are flying the Spitfire for yourself. As far as the training involved goes, in order to get there, it's usually around 500 hours total time, kind of 100 hours tail wheel as a result of that. And then the training to convert on the Spitfire takes somewhere between 5 and 10 hours flying. So it's really lots of people kind of take to it very quickly. Of course, others don't take to it quite as quickly. So it's very much an individual thing, but it's we kind of train. I think this year we've had probably 7 or 8 people who've started their journey towards checking out on the Spitfire, and it's from a lot of different backgrounds. So we've had kind of military test pilots all the way through to PPLs who've just worked incredibly hard to get to that place.
Yeah. What was the end of your first week doing it full time? Because it can't be as relaxing and as automated, obviously, as flying an airliner. You must be pretty knackered.
Yeah, it's surprisingly fatiguing, especially when you first start out, because it's not just flying the aeroplane, it's also making sure everyone's having a great time, think about contingencies and all of those kind of things. So yeah, you do get to the end of the week, and even these days when, although I've been doing it a little while, when we're doing a kind of a day of formation flying, you certainly get to the end of the day and looking forward to that well-earned beer and an early night.
What warbirds are on your kind of bucket list of types to get your hands on one day?
Anything anybody will let me fly, basically. But yeah, particular favourites. For me, a P-47 would just be amazing, and a Griffin-powered Spitfire, just to compare it. I've got some good amount of friends who are incredibly talented aviators well beyond me, and when they refer to the Griffin, it's always that added mark of respect, where even them, they are going kind of, it's quite an animal. So yeah, just to kind of experience that would be incredible.
Yeah. So the Spitfires you fly, are they all Mark 9s?
Yeah, all of ours are Mark 9, so we operate two two-seaters. We've also got single seats, and then of course the Silver Spitfire comes and joins us periodically. Yeah, the Mark 9 is absolutely amazing. I would say that I've only ever flown Mark 9s, but yeah, it's just a delightful machine. It kind of you don't even really have to think about flying it. It just goes. Yeah, it's just an amazing airplane.
What's the actual? Sorry, what's the actual season like in terms of when you're flying them?
So we start, typically our season begins in April, so there's a lot of training that we do as instructors in March to get back up to speed, of course. So we have checks and chipmunks who go up and spin and aerobat and all of those kind of things, and do some emergency simulator training before we kind of get back into the seat. But yeah, our season officially kicks off in April, and it lasts through to the end of November. So it's a good season to have.
How for your kind of not the people who are training to say their standard, but somebody who's just decided they want to come along and have a go at flying a Spitfire, they tend to be what, 20-30 minute sorties? Yeah,
so our kind of our base level is a 30-minute flight, which gives you 20 minutes airborne, and then that will you come before and get some briefings with us and those kind of things. We cover all the safety aspects, and then as far as the flight goes, we usually get airborne, make sure they have some time kind of following through, get to a nice place, and then yeah, give them a good bit of time on the controls to get used to what the aeroplane feels like for them, and then for those who are keen, we'll then go and look at some aerobatics and kind of wind it up or down according to yeah, what they'd like, basically.
And what are there any? There must be presumably some limitations.
Yeah, so as far as most of the aerobatics we do, just due to the engine, they're all positive G maneuvers, so we don't do anything negative. So typically it's victory rolls, barrel rolls, loops, half Cubans, wing overs is our kind of mainstay, as it were.
And I mean, kind of from a passenger pilot participant point of view, are there limitations? I mean, does someone have to be like a jockey or?
No, it's actually quite so. I believe we've got a weight limitation of about 16.5 stone, and if you're, I think it's 6'5", you should fit in the backseat of a Spitfire. So, and yeah, so we have a range of kind of different body types and ages and those kind of things. So it's as young as 18, and I think the oldest person we've actually taken flying was 101. So it's yeah, pretty, yeah, quite a age group there.
Wow. So what's when you first flew it, going back to that, your training route from being in the office, you became an instructor and go do a whole bunch of stuff in the back of the pit. Did you then sort of revert to the office and forget to schedule some people? So
yeah, it happens surprisingly frequently. Yeah, suddenly instructors were just falling by the wayside. Yeah, no, it's been pretty amazing. I've had some fantastic mentors. So people like Matt, who of course owns the business. He's been amazing in helping steer the direction of my career. Also, our chief pilot, Jim Schofield, has been incredibly prominent with getting us up to the right kind of pace at the right time. So we've been very, very fortunate with the team around me to help kind of get to that position. But yeah, so long as I'm around, people will keep shifting off the schedule, certainly.
Yeah, right, just amazing. But your first sort of Spitfire solo, that must have been one of the momentous times in your aviation career, I would have thought.
Yeah, it was amazing. I was very, very fortunate. I was quite low out at the time, so the business and the insurance company had said I had to do 10 hours training. So by the time I got to solo, I kind of felt it's one of the first aeroplanes where I really felt fairly ready. The day itself, there was actually it was kind of a bit of a full start. So it was in January, and there was a storm coming in, and it kind of got to 1 o'clock, and we'd been watching the weather, and the wind had gone out of limits, and it was due to increase throughout the day. So we kind of had a long lunch and binned it off, and then it transpired when we went to the tower about 3 o'clock that there was an unexpected lull in the weather, which allowed us this magical hour to go up, do one kind of circuit with the instructor for them to hop out. So my solo was kind of incredible, but it only lasted 6 minutes because I took off basically 6 minutes to 4, and I had to the airfield closed at 4 at sunset. So it's very much get up and get out, back to the circuit, land, and it was incredible, incredible day. In fact, as I came to stop, I had so many tears in my eyes from the experience. I actually had to stop on the runway because I couldn't see where I was going to taxi back. So I had to, make up an excuse and then, find my way back to the apron.
So we kind of skirted around the price a little bit earlier, but
so our flights, they start, so a 30-minute flight, 20 minutes airborne is £2,950, and we'll go all the way up to I think the maximum is 65 minutes airborne, but we also do experience such as formation, so you can fly in two-seaters together with your mates, or alternatively we can put a single seat up with you. And so there are lots of kind of different varieties that we're able to kind of offer. And the website, which is spitfires.com, has everything that we offer, all the locations and all those good bits.
So if someone's absolutely desperate to get their backfill into a two-seat Spitfire, it's going to cost, the $3,000 is going to get them on that first.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just for argument's sake, if someone pitches up, a PPL pitches up, can you sort of just run through their day if they just come for that kind of half-hour experience? Yeah,
no problem at all. So what we tend to do is a lot of the safety briefings we actually send out in advance, just so people can digest it at their own rate. And so that's usually sent kind of 48 hours before. So when they arrive, we kind of have a brief discussion with the ops team about just making sure that everybody's understood. They'll then get kitted out with all the safety gear. So of course we fly with flying suits, life jackets, helmets, all of that type of jazz. Then we'll kind of, as pilots, we'll then have a little introduction there and have a little sit down, see what they'd like to get out of their flights, and we'll have a chat about making sure we're both on the same page. Then the guys will head out towards the aeroplane and get strapped in. We'll join them shortly after, make sure they're happy at the aeroplane, and then we get going with the fun side.
So you sit there and you find, I mean, I'm guessing when you sit in a Spitfire, there's a kind of a Spitfire smell kind of thing. Your experience starts then, presumably.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, you'll find a lot of people actually, as soon as they walk in the door, they kind of are taken back. So we've as far as kind of the heritage side, we've got things like kind of old props with signatures of veterans that flew them during the war that have come down to spend some time with us. So it's kind of the whole experience as soon as you walk in the door or something. And then, of course, as soon as you go into the hangar, which is a working hangar, so we've got airplanes being worked on, so it's not uncommon to see the Cowlins off and the Merlin there in all its kind of beauty. And then, to get out into the airplane and actually get in yourself and smell the fuel, smell the oil and all that before the airplane starts is, still gets me smiling. I've done it a few times now.
Okay, so I know you can't start the airplane from the back seat, but you're sitting in the front seat, so just talk us through briefly how the hell do you start a Merlin Spitfire? Not Yeah, I promise I won't come and steal one. But how do you do
Yeah,
it?
no worries at all. Yeah, the main thing is if it's cold start, it's a little bit easier than it's a hot start. So typically we prime the aeroplane usually for about 10 seconds with the mixture back in lean, and then put the mixture rich. We'll then got a Kai gas primer, so we'll do around kind of 4 hard primes to get it started. Then it's a bit of a weird one because we have to have the stick back, but then you've also got 2 buttons to push. So you've got a boost coil, which puts a whole load of sparks into the cylinders, a starter. You've got to wait for 4 blades to pass. Then you put both magnetos on before getting to the throttle to make sure you've got the throttle at the right part and tweaking. So yeah, you kind of need 3 hands to be really effective. But yeah, eventually you get the hang of it.
And how bad is a hot start?
Most of the time it's good. It's one of those things where it's very easy to think that you know exactly. We get used to the airplanes and you kind of know that one of ours will require 3 soft primes when it's hot. If you get it wrong and get into the wrong aeroplane, it's you can get a relatively impressive start. So I've certainly had flames licking above the cowlings, which is always good fun. But yeah, providing you keep your fingers on the buttons, it goes away pretty quickly, and normal operation as well resumed.
And obviously the 2-seater must be a bit more pitch sensitive because you've got weight in the back. I'm guessing you've flown the single-seater Mark 9. How do the 2 compare?
Yeah, the single seat is absolutely phenomenally harmonised. It's just a beautiful machine these days. You're absolutely right. The 2-seat is very, very pitch sensitive. So you notice this a lot, or most people notice it as soon as they start flying it. So we often get kind of some pilot-induced oscillation happening. We get a lot in the flare. So of course, if you're coming down, it's very easy just to over flare very, very gently. And then you have a little bit of a motion, of course, in aerobatics as well. So any vertical maneuvers, loops, half Cubans, you very much feel the airplane start to tuck a little bit. But yeah, as soon as you get used to it, it's easy. Then as soon as you jump into a single seat, then it's just basically stays where you put it, which is a bit of an alien concept if you've spent a lot of time in 2 seats.
Right. Very good.
So single seat's easier.
Single seat's easier.
We've got a few questions in the comments. Warbird Princess says, would love to fly. Will the manoeuvres make me feel ill? Well, it sounds like you can pick whatever you like.
Absolutely. So we always try and fly the airplane as gently as possible. And so when it comes to the aerobatics, we'll basically we start off by doing 1 maneuver, stopping, checking in, make sure everyone's happy before continuing, and build it up to everybody's tolerances so we can keep it as gentle or as kind of on the more extreme side as they'd like.
Okay. Katkin says, how much instruction do the passengers get in the use of the parachute?
So that's all covered in our safety briefings, which are sent out 48 hours before. So it does go into a little bit of detail. To make life simple, though, we've both got a D-ring for manual use, but we've also got static lines in all our airplanes, which take care of deploying the parachute as well. So it's kind of extra safety things. So you don't need to, although there are manual processes that we ask everyone to remember, we also have some fail-safes there as well.
Yeah. Jasper asked a good question. How do you handle unstable approaches and go-arounds in a busy 30-minute flight, knowing that flying longer could be expensive?
It's as far as go-arounds, if an approach is unstable, we don't feel it's going to be safe or conducive. Finance isn't a factor for us. We go around and one of my good friends who's a test pilot used to say every approach is a go-around until proven otherwise, and it's something that I certainly take. So if it's not right, we simply go around, give it another go, and make sure everything is nice and safe.
Very good. Midlife PPR says, can you video your flight?
So all our flights are equipped with a 360-degree video, so it captures it for it, and then it's presented to people to take a look at. It is an added-on thing at the end, but they get to see the video before. And the great thing about it is, of course, because it's captured in 360, you might spend a lot of time looking over to your left and have no idea what was happening to your right, and you can replay it in any direction you wish. So it's and they're quite, of course, if you've got kind of virtual reality goggles, you can pop it in there and kind of relive the experience as many times as you like.
Yeah. one, presumably because they're on permits, Stephen Rolls asked this question: can you, or do you get involved in doing some of the maintenance?
I absolutely do not. We have absolute magicians who deal with the maintenance side of things. But yeah, we've got a dedicated team. So we've got 2 full-time engineers that work with the company, and then a team of other very highly experienced people who come and make sure they're kept in the airworthy state that they require.
Very good. Annabelle asks, what's the maximum sort of G you experience with a passenger?
So most of the time we try and limit in passenger flights G between 3 and 4 G. So 3 is preferred, 4 is absolutely fine, and the aeroplane's stressed higher than that, of course. But yeah, we try and keep everything nicely below 3 just to make sure everyone's happy.
Very good. And Dan Smith asks a question I'm almost certain that I know the answer to. He says, are qualified pilots allowed to sit up front if we're paying for the flight?
Unfortunately, unless they're training to fly the Spitfire, everyone's got to be in a rear seat. And in fact, if you do a conversion course, doesn't matter how experienced you are, everyone's first flight's in the back. And part of the reason for that is kind of when you are up front, you are fairly responsible for the takeoff and landing. It's not the easiest from the back, but also it kind of gives you the opportunity to get out of the kind of the wow factor of flying one of these things. So Chris Hadlow, who's a very experienced, who's a Rolls-Royce pilot, he said as soon as you get into the aeroplane, or into a Spitfire, you lose about 70% of your capacity, which is absolutely spot on. So having that kind of rear seat flight just to kind of get over the fact that you're in the Spitfire before you have to then, hop to the front is quite something.
There we go. But good news, Dan, if you book a few hours in it, you could go in the front seat.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it looks like I think we were at 3.5 an hour, and maybe 5 to 10 hours. Some people's 60k plus should get you up to say their standard, maybe.
Absolutely, yeah.
Contingency built in. All right, okay. I'd like to make a plea for everybody to join the Flyer Club, please.
A good question from Midlife PPL, and I'm not sure whether you have, but how humble do you feel if you've flown a Spitfire, get to take a Spitfire veteran up?
I've never had the privilege to take one up, but I've been there when people like Matt and Jim have flown certain veterans, and it is just an unbelievable experience just to be around them. It's certainly I was fortunate enough to meet people like Tom Neal before they passed away, and to hear them talking about their experiences when they were 18, 19, it kind of it took away kind of history for me. As soon as it's someone else's experience who actually saw all of this stuff, it becomes incredibly real. And I'd say it's probably the highlight has been getting to speak to people like that. So of course, we rarely have that opportunity these days, just due to the ages of those veterans still alive.
Fantastic. Well, quick question from me. Last question from me. I think you've got a Spitfire sim up there, haven't you?
We have, yeah. It's utterly fantastic. So the sim itself is 50% of the sim is made up of real Spitfire kind of parts that were flying during the war. So the yoke, for instance, the actual handle flew during the battle, or flew during the 1940s. We've got 40% is kind of been X parts that were built for restoration projects that didn't make the cut. The other 10% is kind of the technology behind it. So it's kind of in a 180-degree 7 projected dome there. All the instruments are real instruments that have just been, they've got servos working them now, but it moves like the real thing in terms of all the instruments move, and it's got a little bit of movement as well to build that up. It's kind of realistic to a stage that we all do kind of 6-monthly emergency sims just to practice various different things. And when you're in there, it is, I'd say, as close to coming to the real thing as you can without finding the real thing. It's pretty impressive.
We may have to talk to you and see if we can put some packages together with a little
Absolutely.
Flyer Club members for the whole. If people want to train to solo or just have together sim, maybe a sim day for members or something would be quite good. So we can talk about that. Brilliant. Okay.
Good. Well, we need to crack on. So
crack on. Thank you for your time.
You're most welcome. Been a pleasure to chat.
Thanks, Tim. It's great
been,
to you.
been amazing. Thanks very much, Tim.
Thank
Talk
you.
to soon. Cheers.
Must be time for. That is a very cool job. That's got to be
a very cool job. It's a very, very cool job. Right.
Yeah. And what a nice way to accomplish it. To go, I'm sure most people wouldn't believe that you could go from, working on the desk of a flying school to flying Spitfires. It would almost be unbelievable. But there we go. Tim is proof that you can do that. So
certainly not the traditional route, is it?
It's not. No. But it's as if anyone remembers the old self-improver route, I think that might be the best description of that word ever.
Absolutely. Right, Ed, take it away.
So, Fancy Hangar. This week, knowing that our guest, Tim Granshaw, was talking to us about his path from PPL to Warbird pilot, that inspired us to go looking in the classifieds around the world to pick a Warbird for our Fancy Hangar. Who is first?
I think we're going to go in this. I think I'm going to go first this time, actually, only because my internet's been a bit flaky and I've already had a little sort of 5 minutes on the naughty still earlier. So while it's still here, I kind of had a look around, have a think about this. Yeah, I'm kind of sure people are going, I want a Messerschmitt, I want a Spitfire, I want a Hurricane, I want a Mosquito. But yeah. I mean, they're great, but they're predictable. Clearly, this is the one Warbird that everyone wants in their Fancy Hangar, surely. Come on, Look at that. Look at that. So that would be, I mean, that is a stonking Warbird. This particular one is for sale for just $1.5 million, $1.5 million, which is like cheap as chips. Okay, there's a minor issue in that it's only 85% of the way through its restoration back to flying status. So there's still a little few bits and pieces to do. But, there's only 15% to do. That's probably just a bit of cleaning and polishing, isn't it? I would thought. Pump the tyres up or something like that. But, I reckon having a F4 Phantom in your hangar. I remember when I was a kid, I used to have this very, very small kid, this little game that was like landing an F4 Phantom on a deck. So I spent many, many hours playing that game. So F4 Phantom, there you go. That's my Warbird of choice.
It makes me wonder, did you say it was 85% complete?
Yes. The ad, that one's on Platinum Fighters, as many of them will be.
It makes you wonder if the 15% incomplete are the really difficult to get hold of parts.
It's a fantasy. I'm sure I'll drop Francis a line and say, Francis, or actually somebody at the LAA. Could I? It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah, what a machine. Who's next?
Yeah, Johnny.
Right, I've gone for a 1947 Sea Fury. So this one is it's known as the Iraqi single-seater. So it's called a Hawker ISS Fury Mark 10. This is an export land-based version for the Iraqi Air Force, and it's been restored with an original, obviously Bristol Centaurus sleeve valve engine. It's been flown regularly. It's had about 20 hours on it since it was restored. And I think it looks absolutely gorgeous, and I think it would probably fly really well. The great thing is it's listed on a few websites, but on Platinum Fighters, they handily work out. They give you a price of 1.795 million US, or payments this is what it says, as low $11,500 a month. If you want to finance it.
Yeah, so I tell you what, take that proposition to Mrs. Salmon and tell us how that works out.
We don't need a house.
That's $1.7 million.
Yeah, there was famously the guy behind Stallion 51, who I can't remember, Lee Lauderbach, I think sold his house, didn't he, to buy his first P-51, and famously said, well, you can't fly a house, but you can sleep in a Mustang.
Yeah. Okay, Ed.
Yes, so I went for this, and people who know me will be not surprised to see that I've gone for a project And this is a 1944 de Havilland Mosquito B4 bomber. Now, it's not quite flyable yet. And in fact, AvSpecs, the people who are restoring it, say it's about 30 months away from completion. But it's being offered, you're buying it as a complete flyaway project when it's flyaway aeroplane. When it's done, it'll be 0 timed. It's got an all-new wood airframe with the rest of the parts original. Interestingly, this bomber version was one of the aeroplanes converted to what they call highball configuration and was used to test the mini bouncing bomb. It ended up in Australia eventually, where it kind of rotted away, and its remains were acquired by mosquito enthusiast Glyn Powell. Now, Glyn had 91% complete, I said. Yeah, this one's less, 50%, they said. But it was Glyn's vision that enabled him to build from scratch all the tooling to rebuild a Mosquito, which a lot of people thought would be impossible. And the molds alone for the fuselage took him 5 years to perfect. But it is now possible to make new Mosquito fuselages and wings. The fixed price for this Mosquito rebuild is a mere $6.9 million. So,
or £100 million in today's.
Yeah. Yes, but I feel that would be quite nice. I'd say it would be nice to have in the corner of the fancy hangar. Clearly, it's going to be an AvSpecs hangar until they finish it. But I think that would be an amazing thing to get regular updates on and eventually fly in. And if you look on it again, it's another project on Platinum Fighters' website, but you see photos of it, and it's like a big Airfix kit. So when they make the fuselage, it's in 2 halves, and then they stick it together.
So tell me though, if you were to buy that now,
yes,
I'm not casting any aspersions at all, and they said, okay, well, yes, it's $6 million or however much it was, I can't remember, but you got to give us that up front so we can finish it. That would be kind of like,
I'm guessing if you were in the market for dropping $6 million or nearly $7 million on a Mosquito, it would probably be one of those numbers that you didn't really think about anyway.
I suspect that people who got $6 or $7 million would be quite concerned about but I don't know. I don't suppose it's a decision I'm ever going to have to worry about. But let's move on to Dave then.
Right. Well, I've found not only I've gone for the Harrier. Yeah, it's a fantastic British aircraft, so I've gone for a Harrier, and I found an amazing package. Not just one Harrier, but it's a 3 Harrier aircraft package. The best one, of course, is the FA2C Harrier, but this package is available in the States, obviously. Price has been reduced. It's now a mere $7.995 million. Just under $8 million. But you get 3 aircraft.
Wow.
One of which is flyable. The other ones are nearly flyable. So
I do like a nearly flyable aeroplane. Do you remember when we did cheap executive jets and Johnny chose the Citation that was very, very cheap, but wasn't actually flyable and had spare engines.
I think that was the one where Dave chose something and it came with about 12 spare engines.
That's
right. That was it, yeah. Okay, so who's won then, Ed?
Who's won? Mikey Swings Across the Sky said Ed wins by a mile. Mike Roberts said that Mozzie needs to go on the LAA circuit to go for the LAA. Just imagine that would be cool. Hayden Thompson says perhaps we could crowdsource the sandpaper. Yes. Evator Steve said Starfighter. There is one for sale. Dave wins. Linda Griffith says Rod Lewis wasn't. Rod Lewis, famous, paid for the first Mosquito that had specs restored. I'm guessing he wasn't. He was had a large pot of money. Probably wasn't too worried about it. Dave wins. Second place, Dave. Dave wins. Dan Smith, a disappointing lack of trouserage this week. I did see you ask what will Warbirds have a trousered undercarriage. There is, as someone pointed out, there is a very fine Saab from World War II that has a lovely trousered undercarriage. There's a lot of Dave wins.
Right.
Dave, Ed wins. Dave has it. Johnny. Dave wins. There we go. Johnny.
Clearly, people don't appreciate the F4 Phantom, do they?
And Catkins caught me out here. I thought Jerry Yegan had the first aspect. You're right, Catkin. It was Jerry. was.
Wow.
Wow.
Someone out geeked Ed.
I know. That means, Catkin, you win permanent. You win my place on the live stream permanently. Congratulations.
We should do like a mastermind takeoff with the lights and everything else. The geek Ed.
Yes, your specialist subject, AvGeek.
AvGeek, yeah, absolutely. Right. What else have we got? As we are 4 minutes over. Have we got anything else?
Just a couple of event things. Probably the last flying of the year, the autumn flying at on Saturday at New Farm, Piddington. That's near Northampton. I suspect that's for microlights only because it's basically a farmer's field. There's not much else coming up, but the Gasco safety evenings are getting going. They start. There's one at Bryce Norton Flying Club on the 27th of October, and they sort of run through the winter. But that's about it on the events front for the moment.
Okay. Wow. In that case, thank you very much for that. Thank you very much, team. Thank you very much, everyone out there, for watching. We look forward to seeing you next Wednesday if you're a member for Livestream Extra. Next Thursday if you're not a member. And if you're not a member, why not? Join. How are we going to afford all of our Spitfire training? There's 4 of us that want to do it, probably a couple of other people as well. So we're going to it's going to like £250,000 worth of Spitfire training. We could probably get a little bit of a discount for that much, maybe. So £239,000 worth of it. But anyway, no, seriously, we won't spend it on that. But do be a member. It'd be great to have you. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a safe weekend flying. See you soon.
Thank you to Simon too.